Not every monster lives in the shadows. Some shake his hand every day. Have you ever felt that someone close to you was sucking you in, even smiling on the outside? Have you ever trusted someone who seemed harmless, polite, even charming, and then realized that they were completely manipulated? The truth is harsh. The most dangerous people do not shout, do not hit, do not threaten explicitly. They seduce with sweet words, calculated gestures, and an impeccable image. They're experts at looking normal, sometimes even admirable. And that is exactly why they are so destructive. Studies of Moderna psychology show that certain toxic personality traits, such as narcissism, emotional manipulation, and social sadism, silently affect millions of victims every year. People who had their self-esteem shattered, their dreams sabotaged, their emotional peace drained, without even realizing who the real enemy was. In this video, I'm going to show you 4 profiles of dangerous people who are disguised in their daily lives. If you felt that this labyrinth is yours too, subscribe to the channel. They may be at work, in your family, or, sadly, in your relationship. Each of these profiles acts differently, but they all have one thing in common. They destroy lives slowly without leaving fingerprints. If you want to protect your mind, your energy, and your life projects, pay attention to each of the signs that I am going to reveal here. Because in the end, you won't just know who to avoid. You will learn how to shield your emotional life from the social predators of the Moderna world. Let's get started. The disguised manipulator. He doesn't raise his voice. It involves you. And when you realize it, you don't even trust yourself anymore. He looks ordinary, even gentle, polite, friendly, helpful. It doesn't come with aggression, it comes with care. He presents himself as someone who only wants good. But that is precisely where the danger lies. He does not shout, does not impose. He whispers. It observes you calmly, understands your weaknesses, maps your dreams, records every silent fear that you do not verbalize. And when you least expect it, it's using it all against you. Smiling. The disguised manipulator does not attack directly. He gets around it. Plant doubts, distort facts, throw loose words that keep hammering your mind for days. When you confront him, he recoils, plays the victim, says that you got it wrong. It makes you feel guilty for questioning. It makes it seem like the problem is you. It undermines your self-confidence in homeopathic doses. It begins with a subtle criticism. You are too sensitive. Then a generalization disguised as advice. No one will ever understand you as I understand. Little by little, you begin to doubt your memory, your perception, even your sanity. And when he tries to move away, he approaches more kindly, with gifts, promises, tears. The strength of this type of person lies in subtle emotional manipulation. He holds you without chains. It isolates you without locks, and convinces you that even though it hurts, he's still the only one who cares about you. That's not love, it's control. A psychological prison built with sweet words and hidden intentions. And perhaps the scariest thing, no one notices. To others, he is a great guy. Generous, with good reputation, respected. You feel alone, discredited, invisible, and he's counting on it. Because the more you shut up, the more he dominates, and the more you give in, the more it consumes. Relating to this type of person is like drowning in warm water. You don't feel danger until you're out of breath. But one thing is for sure, as long as you keep trying to please, explain, justify, he will continue to manipulate, because the manipulator's greatest weapon is his silence, your doubt, your attempt at understanding. The only way to break this cycle is to see clearly it will not change. He doesn't want to change, because everything is working perfectly for him. The charismatic narcissist. He shines wherever he goes, but it erases everyone around it. You meet him at any moment. A casual conversation, a witty comment, a confident look. He looks different, smart, confident, articulate, someone who seems to know who they are and where they're going. You feel seen, valued. It's almost like you've found someone who sees you like no one else has. And that, for many, is the beginning of a slow end. The charismatic narcissist does not arrive with screams or threats. It comes with charm, an almost hypnotic magnetism. He compliments, observes, listens enough to figure out what you want, and then offers just that. You get to admire that firm stance, the twinkle in his eye, the way he effortlessly dominates a room. But what looks like self-confidence is actually a thirst for control. What sounds like admiration for you is just bait. Gradually, you realize that everything revolves around him. Their stories, their pains, their victories, their dramas. When you talk about yourself, he seems bored, quickly changes the subject. If you are happy, it minimizes. If he is sad, he compares it with his own sufferings and always comes out more hurt. You are never a protagonist, only a supporting character in the narrative he has built for himself. He needs to shine. It needs the attention, the validation, the certainty that it is admired and desired. But it never commits to emotional truth. He doesn't build bonds, he manipulates bonds. A compliment from him can lift you up like never before. A criticism to dismantle you completely. And this alternation between enchantment and devaluation becomes a vicious cycle. One day you are everything, on the other nothing. The narcissist loves no one, not even himself. He loves the image he created, and anyone who approaches is not seen as a human being, but as a resource, a bridge, a mirror, an audience. He needs to be worshipped to feel alive, and will do anything to keep that stage standing, even if for this it needs to destroy you. Over time, you begin to doubt yourself. It's canceled. It molds, walks on eggs. And worst of all, you start to think that this is normal. He, in turn, remains smiling, saying that he just wants to help you get better, that you are too sensitive, that you are exaggerating, until one day you look in the mirror and no longer recognize yourself. Your words are his. His fears were planted by him. Your identity diluted. Being in a relationship with a narcissist is like falling in love with a mirage. It all seems real at first until you get close and realize it was illusion. And when he finally tries to leave, he doesn't make it easy. He makes you feel guilty for walking away. Try to win yourself back. Make promises. And if that doesn't work, it destroys you emotionally so that you regret leaving him. Running away from this type of person is not just an act of protection. It's an act of survival. Because the longer you stay under his spell, the more you go out. And if you don't walk away, he will take with him the best part of who you once were. The professional victim. The world is against me. Nothing ever works out, but I always try. You know this person. Maybe from afar, maybe up close. It has a pattern, a repetitive narrative of failure. Every time something goes wrong, she finds a way to make everyone around her see her pain. She doesn't just suffer, she dedicates herself to suffering. And what is most surprising, she is good at it. With every story of misadventure, there is an attempt to capture attention, to convince others that her life is an eternal suffering, an endless battle against a universe that conspires against her. Being the victim is a form of control. When you feel unable to change, it's easy to cling to the idea that the world is out of your control and that everyone around you is to blame. If only people understood what I go through. The professional victim doesn't want solutions. She wants empathy. It does not seek action, but rather the recognition of pain. Because for her, being recognized as someone who suffers is the only way to receive genuine love and attention. But as much as her stories are real and her pain legitimate, there is a pattern that begins to repeat itself. She never leaves this place of suffering. She doesn't allow life to get better, because that would mean her identity needs to change. And deep down, she fears that change could take away the one thing that keeps her connected to others, the role of victim. This dynamic creates a dysfunctional relationship where others try to help but never know what to really do. No matter how hard you try, the solution never seems to be enough because the victim does not want to be healed. She wants to be accompanied in her suffering so that everyone sees how much she is misunderstood. The world is against me. Nothing ever works out, but I always try. You know this person. maybe from afar, maybe up close. It has a pattern, a repetitive narrative of failure. Every time something goes wrong, she finds a way to make everyone around her see her pain. She doesn't just suffer, she dedicates herself to suffering. And what is most surprising, she is good at it. With every story of misadventure, there is an attempt to capture attention, to convince others that her life is an eternal suffering, an endless battle against a universe that conspires against her. Being the victim is a form of control. When you feel unable to change, it's easy to cling to the idea that the world is out of your control and that everyone around you is to blame. If only people understood what I go through. The professional victim doesn't want solutions, she wants empathy. It does not seek action, but rather the recognition of pain, because for her, being recognized as someone who suffers is the only way to receive genuine love and attention. But as much as her stories are real and her pain legitimate, there is a pattern that begins to repeat itself. She never leaves this place of suffering. She doesn't allow life to get better because that would mean her identity needs to change. And deep down, she fears that change could take away the one thing that keeps her connected to others, the role of victim. The undercover controller. I only want your good. I know what's best for you. He presents himself as someone who cares about you. In every gesture, in every word, there is a softness that conveys the feeling of care. He always has a solution, a direction to point, and you feel welcomed in his guidance. At first, everything seems perfect. He helps you make decisions, offers you advice, and somehow seems to have the answers to everything. But as time goes on, something begins to bother. The disguised controller does not demand anything right away, does not shout, does not threaten, does not impose its will aggressively. He uses subtleties. His words masquerade as genuine concern, but behind them is a constant attempt to shape your life according to what he believes is best for you. He doesn't just advise, he subtly directs your choices, always in a way that seems reasonable, even friendly, and little by little, you begin to feel unable to make decisions without his guidance. He doesn't force you to do anything. He just convinces you in such a delicate way that you begin to question your own opinions and desires. Maybe he really knows what's best for you. Maybe he really has more experience. Perhaps if you follow his directions, things will finally fall into place as they should. But what he doesn't say is that control never comes without a price. Every decision of yours that he influences, every choice that he approved, makes you feel more and more dependent. What seemed like help begins to become an obligation. You feel guilty for not following his suggestions, for doubting his authority. Gradually, your inner voice is silenced. What you want, what you feel becomes less important. What matters is what he thinks is best for you. The disguised controller will never ask you to do something directly against your will. He will position himself as someone who only wants your good. But in the end, his disguised kindness will end up erasing your autonomy. He will make you believe that it is you who have chosen the path you are following, when, in fact, you have already been led by him from the beginning. And when you try to break that cycle, when you try to be authentic and make a decision on your own, it will make you feel guilty. He will remind you of all the times he helped, who was by your side. It will make you doubt your own ability to make decisions, pushing you back into your comfort zone, which, in fact, is a golden prison. Relationships with these manipulative figures can teach us a lot about who we are. Too often we allow ourselves to be shaped, pushing our own identity away until we see ourselves more distant from ourselves than we ever imagined.